Thank you. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. It's 4:30 p.m., and this is the Committee of the Whole, Finance, Administration, and Communication. We have 3 agenda items. I think we're going to reorder from what was sent in the agenda. If there's any council members that have a problem with that, I don't think we do. And so our first agenda item is something that the council had asked for. Community Projects Volunteer Coordinator update, and we have Mr. Jason.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here today for the first time. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update of how the program's going so far and what we've been able to accomplish. I think we started off firstly kind of researching different programs nationally to see what else was out there. Found a really good one that I was able to pull some information from in Boulder, Colorado. Similarly sized city, very successful program that they've had on the books for about 5 years. Next, identified the different job duties that the program will actually have, and we also finalized the job description, which led us to the next part of the process, which was researching different online platforms for project and volunteer tracking. Data helps me track volunteer hours, participation, and helps me create a database for that. The events team at Parks and Recreation actually uses the same program. It's called Track It Forward very successfully. So I have secured that, and I'm using that currently. The next bit that I have been working on is meeting with different departments to establish program and project opportunities and needs. I met with many of the deputy directors in the different city departments and kind of find out what we have already in terms of volunteer infrastructure and volunteer programs. So that was a very enlightening process, especially learning how much volunteer activity we already do have at the city. Hopefully this position will just enhance that. That's the goal. Right now, I'm in the process of prioritizing the list of kind of volunteer activities that are ongoing. And I will be also currently drafting the outreach and communications plan that I'll be utilizing in the next phase of the program, which would be when I start meeting with external and different groups, community groups, organizations, individuals. So if anyone knows any other groups that may want to volunteer for the city, send them my way. I'm happy to start meeting with them here in the coming weeks and months. Part of that process, obviously, will be to match up the different opportunities we have with the different groups and what they want to do to volunteer. I will be back in September to give another more in-depth update to you guys. Hopefully have more to share. And I would just like to leave you on one successful note. Thanks to Councilmember Carson, who put me in touch with a local Girl Scout group. They are set up to do a volunteer project on Arbor Day with the city, and so they're very excited about that. They met with a staff member at Parks who's running that event, and this was last week, to talk about what they'd be doing, and they're working towards their silver award, so they're very happy to be moving forward with that. And that's the update for now.
All right, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Sorry.
Well, let's find out. Any questions? Yes.
Why the heavy sigh?
No, I'm kidding.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown, for this update. I have 2 questions. The first is more general, just about the upcoming season. So folks who have heard that we're going to have more volunteer opportunities being managed through this office are curious about the upcoming summer season. There's more labor-intensive seasonal work. Are we going to be able to put together a few opportunities that the community can opt into?
Absolutely. Did meet with Parks a couple different occasions, a couple different staff members from Parks. There's a lot of ongoing opportunities through them in the spring season, as you noted. So, yeah, if you, like I mentioned, if you know anyone or groups that want to get involved, they can send them my way. I can definitely find something for them. And that's kind of how I see part of this job is clearinghouse of sorts, being able to find these groups and find the city opportunities and match them together.
Wonderful, thank you. And thank you to Chip, who just turned up the volume here in City Hall. I really appreciate that. So my second question then is just a bit more granular on the same topic. Last year at Derby Days, I manned the council booth with Councilmember Anderson, and the most common question we got was, how can I volunteer in Redmond? How can I volunteer in Redmond? And we just kept writing down Redmond stuff on sticky notes and passing that out. But I wonder if there's an opportunity to create a funnel here. So it would be really great if at the council booth this year, when we're asked, how can we volunteer? How can I volunteer in the city? That we could turn them to an event happening in the month of August. Like if there was some volunteer event already happening that we could funnel folks toward, if there was a city need that could be filled by volunteers, that could be a cool opportunity.
Yeah, we do. Part of the research of this, learning the role and how it's going to work, is I found there's actually a volunteer page on the city website. I added my contact information there. There's also information to get in touch with the different departments. I'm more than happy, again, to direct them to where those opportunities are, and I think it could be a good match for everyone
I guess
involved.
the nuance here, Mr. Brown, is we could have dozens of people reaching out to you, or we could send dozens of people to an event registration, like of a volunteer opportunity.
Yeah,
right?
and that's part of the creating the outreach materials. I'll hopefully have a web page up. You could just send them there as well. They fill in the information and then
Cool.
move them out from there.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for working on this. We're happy to have you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Stewart. So we have Council President Forsyth and Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you. Sounds like we could use some of those little business cards like we get for Redmond 2050 that, to have at Derby Days, so that all of our excited volunteers can reach out to Jason directly and hit that website. So love that conversation. I just wanted to ask Jason, how do you think it's going, and are you enjoying it?
Definitely enjoying it. It's a challenge to kind of get your arms around everything, but I think we have a good plan outlined and a good attack, a good plan of attack to get through all of it, and definitely enjoy meeting different people and speaking in different groups, the few that I already have, and looking forward to more of it.
Great. And then do you think that through this you'll be able to grow the areas of excitement, to grow that volunteer interest, to be able to funnel those into the proper areas?
Absolutely. There's no shortage of opportunities, as I've already found out. So I think we'll definitely be able to create that excitement and create those opportunities for people to get involved and serve the city.
Great. Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you. I appreciate that this program is kind of getting off the ground. Good work. I have a couple questions about the benefits of volunteering, and just curious if you could quickly summarize. And the context that I'm coming from is often I hear interest in volunteering in like thought exercises for volunteering, not necessarily like labor. And so I wanted to understand a little bit more about what our program is offering, because it sounds like maybe working a lot with trails or that kind of outdoor hands-on work. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of skills a volunteer might be able to gain from this program, or if there's other opportunities, like I understand we have commissions and stuff like that, which is the more the in the head stuff and talking in a group, but just kind of would love to get a kind of a summary of what's the benefits of volunteering that we're offering in this program.
I think the benefits are going to be what you get out of it, really, what you're looking to get out of it. People volunteer for different reasons, obviously. Some need hours to fulfill different awards and things like that. Others just want to do it just to help out and to, build the community up. So I think it really depends what you're looking to get out of it yourself. But the benefits can be, for the city and for the individual themselves. I think as we kind of move forward in this process, I'll have a more stringent answer to you for that. But right now, I think we'll kind of see where it goes. And already I've had a few different people just randomly reach out to me and just want to do things, just want to help and find out a way to be involved. So I think we're going to have a lot of that, and I think we'll have a lot of the other reasons as well.
Okay, thank you. My request, I guess, would be if there's ways that council can help with the appreciation function or recognition in some way, I'd be more than happy to participate in that. That's a really important part of the volunteer service. We do a pretty good job with, recognizing our appointments and those kinds of things, but that I think would be a really great thing for us as a council to get involved in if we can. And then I have just one more question on. Could you just briefly summarize how a community leader could organize something with you? Is the best first step is to talk to you? Or, for example, if an HOA wanted to do something like we used to have for the neighborhood grants or something like that, how do they do a project in their neighborhood?
I don't have a perfect answer for you on that, but I would love to just talk to them first and hear what they're looking to do, the amount of people, the hours, and then I am pretty confident I could find something for them to get involved with that would meet their needs.
Awesome, thank you. And then I wanted to say Track It Forward is wonderful software, by the way.
Yeah, it's great.
So, thank you.
So, Councilmember Carson, before we go to you, can I do a follow-up to Councilmember Anderson? Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, not quite the question that was asked, but sort of a peel off of the question that was asked. This time of year, I think a lot of us on council and other councils get requests from both college students and high school students who see a future in political activity or doing things more directly with governments. And so when I listened to Councilmember Anderson's question and I listened to your answer, I appreciate both the question and your answer. What do we get out of it? It's what you can get out of it. But therein lies a subtlety for me. And not all of these volunteer requests directly benefit the workload of the city. Sometimes they actually help build a community expertise or a community understanding that is, if an intern is shadowing a director or shadowing a council member or shadowing the mayor, they learn a lot that can then work for them on a personal basis and arguably in the future betters the community because we have more involved and more informed people. So that there's no direct need necessarily. How does that fit into your plans for volunteerism?
That's a very interesting question. I haven't actually honestly thought about that aspect of volunteering, kind of intern volunteer. It's similar, but some in some aspects different. So I'd love to kind of talk more about that offline and get back to you on that one.
Sure,
but,
and it's not without precedent. I mean, a lot of corporate businesses do that, and it's done as a community service. When I was back in the day in a corporate management position, we had volunteers, and they, in all honesty, they were more effort than what they gave back. But still, it was a very good thing. So I would like to talk to you, and I will follow up. So thank you. Councilmember Carson.
Thank you. So I kind of wanted to touch on an aspect that's a little bit broader than just volunteer coordination, but also kind of the partnership aspect of the position and at least getting someone started with the right people within the city. To me, I think Jason is going to be the funnel where all these things come into the city and you find the right person within the city, or if you're the one who actually, sets up the tasks. But you're basically the matchmaker for whatever they're looking to do. And so one thing that I introduced him to an executive director of Snow King Hockey, and they want to do like a temporary ice sheet during the winter months where people can come out and skate, and so they'll have open times, and they'll do, because their capacity is limited during the winter months, because that's when people want to skate. So anyway, so, talking about kind of what suitable areas there might be to do a temporary ice sheet. So things like that, partnerships where we can improve our offerings, usually in the area of Parks and Rec, but not always. And so, and so what I've done, and I think it would be great if every council member did, would be to open up their Outlook contacts and find the people that they think might be good for Jason to talk to about something that they've talked to you about wanting to do in the community, whatever that is, and then, maybe make an introduction via email and then let them take it from there. So, and maybe you can talk about kind of that aspect of, and whether that's, you'll normally just be handing it off, or, might you be developing those as well?
Yeah, that was a very interesting meeting that we had with him, and he definitely wants to get involved with the community here in Redmond, and more activities in the winter are always a good thing. But yeah, I think this position has the potential to kind of not to morph into, but do things like that. And I'm happy to take those emails or those calls and meet with the people and see what else is out there for them to do and ways that they can get involved.
Any other council questions? So I've got one last question. Will you coordinate with council leadership with the idea that we have later, once you get more structure and more contacts even, consider a study session so that we can make this effort and this enhancement that we all think is important more of a public, and if we were to schedule a study session and provide the experience of a council discussion for the public that may in fact sort of put energy into it, and also meet that need of transparency on what we're doing. I think part of the issue that any government would have would be overcoming the obstacle that the government is for other people, and we don't want that obstacle in Redmond. So I would hope that you could talk to them and get back to council and say, yeah, they thought it was a great idea.
We have multiple meetings quite regularly, and I would definitely bring that up in discussion with them.
Great, thank you. Oh, Council President Forsyth. I didn't expect an answer tonight, but if you want to give one, sure.
I was just going to add that I think that would be awesome for a staff report, since more folks watch the regular business meeting. And we could do it on a night when we have a higher volume of participation. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else? I think we are good. Thanks for the update. Thank you. We are now, I think, hello, Finance Director. We are moving to item, what is on this piece of paper? Yes, thank you. So we have a potential contract for the 2023 development services. We do this every other year, is that correct?
We do a development service or development user fee study about every 5 years.
Okay, great. So
Kelly Cochran, Interim Finance Director. I'm joined by Kelly C. She's a Senior Financial Analyst that is responsible for the planning department, and she will be taking the lead on this project. And so I will have her let you know what's going on.
Hi, good afternoon. I am here today to ask for council's support to move a contract forward to next week's consent agenda on April 18th. The contract is for the development user fee study, which was approved in the 23-24 budget. The departments have selected FCS to conduct the study, as they have extensive experience performing these fee studies in Washington. For the fire impact fee portion of the study, the departments have selected NBS. They have proven to do really quality work for our fire department and also have really solid experience doing these types of fire impact fee studies as well. In late summer, early fall, there will be stakeholder meetings with One Redmond, Master Builders Association, and outreach to seek feedback from community members. We plan on updating council of the consultants' proposals and their final recommendation in the fall.
Perfect. So this is for consent next Tuesday, correct? Any questions from council? I see Council President Forsyth has her hand raised. We cannot hear you. We can see you.
You know, having my mic on helps. Thank you. Thanks. I'm really interested in the work that they're going to be doing around the B&O versus head tax analysis, and I hope that we'll get a very detailed view into what that looks like, because it may potentially align with some of the council priorities that are on the survey that everyone completed. So just wanted to share that item of interest for me. And then I'm glad you mentioned that there'll be other groups that they're going to be doing outreach with aside from One Redmond and the Master Builders. Do you know what those groups might be?
We are just starting conversations with our communications group to help us kind of muster some interest in the community. So certainly happy to report back, trying to expand engagement in this project. We don't get a lot of people signing up for volunteer work in the finance department.
Okay, well, maybe we can find Jason to help with that. And then just also interested, if I know we talked, I think it was last week, about the city's funding for the signature events and what you think we might be able to do in this process to help find funding for those, if depending on how the LTAC conversation goes.
Sure.
Thank you, Council President. Quick follow-up to that second question. Is the scope of the contract include that sort of analysis? I mean, I can see where there would be an analysis of what is the right level of fees, how do we get, cost recovery. I understand most of that, but this would be potentially a change depending on what council does, what the city does. So is that type of work included in the scope of this contract, where we may be shifting policies or shifting?
Policy development and analysis is certainly a part of it. At this point, we had not noted a need to explore that area, but we certainly will. Yeah.
So the scope of work is somewhat, you're still.
Yep, we definitely have policy work that we need to do, and we can add that to our list of items that we need to address.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Anything else from council? I see no questions. And do we have, are we good with this going to consent? I see thumbs up and heads shaking, and I see no objection. So I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Last item, again, finance, and we did, during the budget process, vote to establish a transportation benefit district, and I think we're going to get the first layout of that process. I had a chance to discuss this during the agenda meeting, and this is a fairly significant process. I think I was sort of surprised by that, and I think it's important that council understand all of the steps that the city needs to take to get this done. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to get this kicked off and implemented for council. So there are a number of steps that we need to take, and I think the first thing that I'd like to do is go over the steps and the timeline that's been outlined. I will then kind of go over some of the administrative and governance things that we need to do after council approves the final ordinance. I'll cover community outreach, and then we'll talk about the first ordinance that is being presented to you today, which is the one to form the TBD. So attachment B in your packet includes the milestones, and they're laid out by date. So today, April 11th, we're here to kind of go over the process and provide you with the formation ordinance. We are proposing that that goes then on the consent agenda for May 2nd, after we've had a public hearing on the issue. I'll then visit with you again on May 11th at FAC just to check in on where we are in the process, and then you'll be given the two next steps, which is first our resolution of intent that declares our intention to assume the TBD under the governance of City Council. And then the second ordinance does just that. It assumes that and becomes part of your responsibilities as council. Then we will have, we'll do the resolution on May 16th. And the next ordinance would happen on June 6th. That would be after the second public hearing. At the June FAC meeting, we would then do another process update, and then the final ordinance, which is the ordinance to provide the funding for the TBD, will be presented to council, and that would go in front of council for approval on, I think that says June 20th. Just give me a moment to make sure. Yes, that's correct, June 20th. And then at that point, that is the last step in kind of that part of the process. Is there any questions on that process or time frame that's laid out? It's been really kind of designed in a way that allows us to account for.
Sorry, I think we do have a question from
Right.
Councilmember Anderson.
Are we anticipating any roadblocks, pun intended?
I am not.
Okay.
But I might be optimistic, but I'm not. I'm feeling, for the folks that I've had conversations with, it feels very well supported. We are doing community engagement throughout this process. One of the first things that you'll see is a web page. We'll go live next week. It provides some FAQs and some information about council's intent. We will be meeting with Redmond at their upcoming meeting. There will be press releases and obviously the public hearings.
So I guess the follow-up question would be, is there a specific deadline or timeline we have in mind if we have to push it out for any reason, public hearing or whatever?
The biggest issue for us is that we do have to notify the Department of Revenue of our need for them to collect this for us, and we need to turn that into them in the beginning of October in order to collect. Because there is some administrative things that we need to do after council approves that final ordinance, there's no council meetings in August. That's why the schedule is laid out the way that it is.
Makes sense. Okay, third quarter then. Thank you.
Council President Forsyth.
Thank you. Appreciate all that information and all the hard work. I know this is much bigger lift than I think we talked about during the budget cycle. So I appreciate all the work and getting this done in a timely fashion. Just reading the draft ordinance as it was provided to us, my only concern is the same concern I generally have, where we say in the usage section 3.93.060 C that the funding may be is always not. I'm not a fan of that. So I want to make sure that this funding has to be used for the intended purposes. And if you could just provide some clarity on that. I know it says under the law after that, but I think it's just anytime we're collecting more tax, I think folks want to make sure that it's going to the thing we say it's going to go to.
Certainly.
Councilmember Stewart.
Thank you. I'm really excited about the Transportation Benefit District. We know that our residents are really eager to see more maintenance of the roadways, and we hear a lot about the pavement condition index. I do, however, remain skeptical that council chose the right funding mechanism during the budget process when we headed down the path of raising sales tax in order to fund the Transportation Benefit District. So I'm really glad we're doing robust outreach over the next couple of months through the rest of this process. Ultimately, I personally hear this council espouse our values around equity and a future that is more multimodal and bike ped friendly. And I think that the user fee option that was also discussed is in better alignment with those other council values. So I just would like to keep the door cracked open on that part of the conversation as we go through the next couple of months. But very happy that we are going to be establishing a transportation benefit district.
I will provide council with updates on the community outreach and engagement components as we go through the process. So I'll do my best to keep you informed of what I'm learning.
Any other council members with questions or comments or requests? I see none. I think we're good.
Okay.
I appreciate all your work. So thank you.
That's great.
Anything from staff? Any parting comments?
No, ready to go. Excited to get this done. It's been certainly on our agenda for quite a while.
I didn't see on your schedule when we're going to get new protected bike lanes. Is that, I'm kidding.
January 1st.
Okay, thanks. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you for including the ordinance draft in this packet. It's actually really helpful for reference. Thank you.
Great. All right, with that, I think we've come to the end of the agenda. If there's no exception, I'm going to hit this gavel and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.